Robert M. and Sapolsky, Determined, A Science of Life Without Free Will. Prepare to challenge your understanding of free will with Determined, A Science of Life Without Free Will by Robert M. and Sapolsky. This insightful work explores the provocative notion that much of our behavior and many of our choices are shaped by a complex interplay of biological and cultural factors beyond our control. The book dives into the intricate web of determinism, illustrating how every decision, no matter how spontaneous it appears, is rooted in a long chain of biochemical reactions, genetic predispositions, and past experiences. By unpacking scientific studies and philosophical debates, Sapolsky invites readers to reconsider traditional beliefs about human autonomy and responsibility. Delve into the fascinating discussions about the implications of determinism on personal accountability and social justice, all while maintaining a focus on making these profound concepts digestible and relevant. This summary will navigate you through these key themes, offering a thought-provoking perspective on human behavior and the illusion of free will.
The illusion of free will. Imagine the unsettling notion that everything about your life, from the mundane to the monumental, isn't really a choice you've made. Instead, it might be the result of countless biological and cultural influences far beyond your control. This perspective mirrors a curious anecdote from the early 20th century involving philosopher William James. After a lecture, an elderly woman confidently informed him that the world rests on the back of a giant turtle. When James inquired what supported the turtle, she insisted it was turtles all the way down, dismissing the impossibility of one turtle hanging unsupported in the air. Absurd as it sounds, this is somewhat akin to the concept of determinism, a scientific viewpoint suggesting our actions arise not from free will but from a complex web of pre-existing factors. Consider that our brains are the architects of our behaviors. The specific neural actions leading to any behavior are themselves the products of preceding stimuli, emotions, or memories. These elements are influenced by our hormones and shaped by earlier life experiences, whether from childhood, adolescence, or even before birth. These experiences are intertwined with our genetic blueprint and societal norms, which have been molded by ecological and evolutionary forces long before our existence. Like the fictional endless turtles, this chain of influence appears infinite, stretching backward as far as our minds can probe. We often accept deterministic explanations for certain phenomena without question. People generally agree that learning disabilities and clinical depression are biologically influenced, that handedness is not a choice, and that childhood experiences can predict future behaviors. So why hesitate to apply this reasoning universally? Why cling to the notion of free will only selectively? Accepting the absence of free will challenges deeply held beliefs across all cultures. Yet, there is a compelling argument that fully understanding this deterministic framework could offer profound benefits. As you explore this narrative further, consider the implications. It might just transform your perspective on choice, responsibility, and the underlying forces that shape our lives. Mind's secret agenda. Imagine you're driving, a traffic light turns red, and you have seconds to decide whether to stop or speed through. Or you're holding a gun, finger poised on the trigger. Perhaps you're walking past a tempting drink offer. These scenarios seem like moments where you have complete agency, right? Neuroscientist Benjamin Libet suggests otherwise. In the 1980s, Libet conducted groundbreaking experiments revealing a surprising truth about decision-making. Participants were asked to choose between pressing button A or B while noting the precise moment they decided. Surprisingly, brain activity showed that their neurons had already initiated the course of action 200 milliseconds before they consciously made a choice. This phenomenon is known as readiness potential, indicating that your brain acts before your conscious mind does. So, when you opt for that cocktail special or contemplate your next move, it's not entirely your free will at play, your unconscious mind has already paved the way. But don't be disheartened. Libet's research also discovered a small window of opportunity for control, something called free won't. In the fleeting 200 milliseconds before your conscious mind aligns with the brain's decision, you can exercise veto power. Whether it involves a high-pressure leap or an impulsive remark, you can still halt the action before it truly begins. However, the deeper mystery lies not just in the split-second decision-making but in understanding why your unconscious mind sets these intents in the first place. While pausing to ponder the milliseconds between intent and action might seem pivotal, the broader inquiry involves unraveling the origins of our unconscious decisions. Decoding this enigma about intent formation awaits further exploration, offering a profound look into the underlying reasons behind what we perceive as choice. Decoding decision-making. Imagine that every decision you make, whether split-second or thoughtfully considered, stems from an intricate web of experiences and ingrained perceptions shaped over decades. Picture a 40-year-old police officer, confronted with the urgent choice of shooting a suspect who holds an ambiguous object. It might seem like a snapshot of free will, yet beneath this rapid assessment lies a lifetime of cognitive and cultural conditioning influencing each movement and thought. This conditioning extends beyond simple observation, it intertwines with factors such as race, gender, and even the surrounding environment to mold perceptions. For instance, the officer's ability to rapidly interpret whether the suspect holds a gun or a smartphone is subtly swayed by these ingrained biases. Further research reveals startling truths. Prejudices can intensify due to external stimuli like unpleasant odors, hunger makes judgment harsher, and testosterone levels can amplify perceived threats. The cop's judgment, seemingly instantaneous, is a culmination of deep-seated factors, such as whether they've recently had a meal. Delving deeper, consider the remarkable concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's capability to reshape itself in response to life's shifting tides. When a man becomes a father, his nurturing instincts increase as testosterone decreases. Blindfold a person for a week, and watch their auditory prowess grow, usurping visual areas of the brain. Experiences that are neither chosen nor avoidable, such as trauma or neglect, leave lasting impressions on neural pathways. Chronic stress, for instance, causes physical changes like adrenal gland enlargement, influencing our decision-making foundations. Within the brain, the frontal cortex governs complex problem-solving and executive functions. Unlike other parts of the brain heavily dictated by genetics, this area is predominantly sculpted by environmental stimuli during adolescence. Emotional experiences from those formative years continue to steer our decisions well into old age. Child development plays a vital role. The nurturing styles of our parents, interactions with peers, the surrounding neighborhood, and even the climate contribute significantly to forming cognitive and emotional capacities. These influences, both subtle and profound, start before one even draws their first breath. The conditions in the womb, levels of stress, substance exposure, affect brain chemistry, while genetic variations, activated by childhood environments, can predispose one to behaviors, as seen in cases involving serotonin breakdown genes. Ancestral roots further add layers. East Asians, for example, may find calm faces more rewarding, contrasting with European tendencies towards smiling faces. Returning to the officer's momentous choice, whether to pull the trigger, upon closely examining this scenario, it becomes clear that decisions are not mere moments of autonomy. Rather, they result from an ensemble of genetic, experiential, and environmental factors accumulated over a lifetime. These intertwined forces subtly guide what might seem like instantaneous voluntary judgments, revealing just how complex the architecture of decision-making truly is. Beyond free will. Imagine a world where free will is just an illusion, where our actions are guided not by conscious choice but by the intricate workings of biology and circumstance. What becomes of responsibility and justice in such a world? Our societal structures, law, governance, and education, are built upon the belief that we have control over our actions. But what if true agency doesn't exist? Historical misconceptions, like those during the Middle Ages, illustrate how lack of understanding can lead to unjust punishment. Consider the case of epilepsy, once attributed to witchcraft, it's now understood as a genetic disorder. This shift in awareness has led to more compassionate responses. Now, envision a modern scenario involving a driver experiencing a seizure, resulting in a tragic accident. If the driver has no medical history of seizures, it's deemed a misfortune. But what if the driver had such a history and chose not to medicate? Traditionally, we might rush to hold them accountable. However, this decision might be influenced by myriad uncontrollable factors, brain chemistry, hormonal imbalances, that challenge the notion of personal responsibility. So, how should society respond? By reframing justice. Abandoning blame for the unmedicated driver, we instead acknowledge their potential danger to others, similar to how one wouldn't wander amongst bears. Restorative justice offers a model where individuals are protected without punishment for uncontrollable actions. This perspective shift encourages humane justice systems founded on understanding and protection. This reevaluation of free will and accountability pushes us to reconsider past conceptions of behavior. In history, left-handers were seen as sinister, dyslexics as lazy, and veterans with PTSD as malingering. Such views are now rightly dismissed as outdated and cruel. Society has consistently moved toward more compassionate understandings. By acknowledging that some elements of behavior lie beyond personal control, we have a chance to cultivate a justice system that is empathetic and just. Embracing this shift allows us to redefine fairness, reframing punishment into prevention and compassion, reflecting an evolving understanding of human nature.
In Determined, A Science of Life Without Free Will, Robert M. Sapolsky provides a compelling narrative that redefines our understanding of human agency. Through the lens of determinism, the book argues that our decisions and actions are not birthed from independent free will but are the culminations of neurological and cultural conditioning. By dismantling the myth of free will, Sapolsky opens a discourse on how society might evolve towards more compassionate justice systems that account for the biological and environmental influences on behavior. Accepting the absence of free will doesn't absolve us from accountability but rather invites us to reconceptualize justice in humane terms. The overarching takeaway is a call for empathy, as we recognize that human behavior is more about the unseen forces at play than about conscious intent. By understanding these dynamics, we can work towards a society that is informed, equitable, and characterized by a deeper understanding of human nature.